Welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do a new type of episode where I take you behind the scenes of the stats in terms of how this channel is performing. So we've been around for just over 2 months now, and I've learned a lot about how YouTube works and how this dashboard works. So you can see behind me here, we have a view of how the most recent video is performing. So it gives you a ranking out of the top 10 most recent popular videos. How's this latest one doing? We're middle of the pack, which is fine. It looks like we were getting 430 views so far. So it's nice to have this concise view to get a sense of how things are performing. Got this weird copyright notice here. So this was a phantom flag where a video of just me talking in front of a green screen somehow flagged the copyright system. And it's happened twice so far. The same, it's like some random Turkish person apparently owns copyright to me talking. So it tends to get resolved once I file an appeal, but a bit annoying. And we get here different achievements. So we hit 10,000 views, which is great, and 500 hours of watch time, which is also important. But the big metric, this channel has hit over 1,000 subscribers. And that's really important. The two most important stats for new channels are subscriptions and public watch hours. So subscriptions, we need to hit 1,000 subscriptions, which we've done. And for watch hours, we need to hit 4,000 watch hours. And that enables a channel to apply for being monetized, the partner program. So we can see here we've hit the first metric, and we are on our way to hitting the second metric. Admittedly, we're pretty far away, so it's going to take quite a few months likely in order to hit it, unless this channel grows substantially. And I want to thank in particular Pete Nostop for giving this channel so many shout outs and for encouraging me to start it in the first place. Let's dive into the analytics a bit. Here we have 3 tabs that shows you views, watch hours, and subscribers. You can see here we had a big peak on May 1st, and this was the most active day for the channel. I'm going to switch to a 90-day view because this shows all the activity this channel has ever had. The channel started on March 9th, and we can see here after any video release, the views spike. That's pretty typical. After a video is released, you'll have an increase in views. So you want to typically be able to release content somewhat regularly. The subscriber tab is pretty interesting. There's 2 big peaks this channel has received. First here is on April 9th, where we got 170 subscriptions. And then this other one here on May 1st, we had 255. This first spike was largely due to my appearing on Tiffany Fong's channel. She gave me a shout out. We got a bunch of subscribers from that. So thanks so much, Tiffany. And then here we got a shout out on Twitter from Simon Dixon and from Rob from Digital Asset News. So thanks to both of you. This really helped. And what's interesting, though, is we go to the watch time. You can see the first spike disappeared, which indicates that people that were subscribing didn't wind up actually watching the content. So, I mean, still appreciate the subscription, so thanks so much for that. But this next spike was even more helpful because people that subscribed actually wound up watching the content as well. Yeah, liking, commenting, and subscribing definitely helps. And again, thanks so much for Pete, who's been giving this channel shout-outs from the beginning. If you haven't subscribed to him, definitely give him a sub, but I'm imagining most everyone here is already subscribed to Pete. The audience tab here will tell you a bit more about your audience. So we can see here in terms of attracting viewers, the first Hellsius secret video performed best in terms of getting people to subscribe. This is a really interesting thing here too, where it tells you other channels viewers are watching. And it makes sense. The first 4 in particular, Aaron Bennett, Pete Nostop, Simon Dixon, Tiffany Fong, all make sense. This one's slightly disappointing because apparently a lot of you are subscribed to James Malarney. So he was one of the people that used Hellsius as a referral farm. He had thousands of referrals and doesn't seem to give a lot of great advice, but I guess if you want to listen to him, that's fine. His buddy CTO Larson also appears here, and he covered Hellsius in at least 2 videos, which he promptly deleted after Hellsius closed. So that was pretty bad for him. I actually called him out on Twitter, and he initially seemed like he was engaging in good faith, and then he just went dark and blocked me. So pretty poor form on CTO Larson's part. Since some of you apparently watch him, maybe comment on his video and tell him to unblock me and apologize to Hellsius customers. This pattern of just deleting wrong calls from influencers is really troubling. They just take all sides of an issue and then pare down things that don't make them look good. To build trust, you really need to stand behind what you say, and it's fine to delete content, but you should at least address it and explain, why did I delete this content? and CTO Larson has fallen short of that goal. He's not alone, but he was just one notable example that I happened to see and call out. This chart here is particularly helpful. It tells you when viewers are watching the channel. So Sunday is a great day to release content, and then in the afternoon on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it looks like around 4 o'clock is another great time to release content. Probably want to target just before one of these dark purple time periods to give people time to be notified when they're available. We can see here, Pete's got the first 3 videos being watched by this channel, so that's great to see. I think it means that a lot of you are indeed subscribed to Pete, which we love to see. In terms of content for this channel, there have been 2 main types of series. We first had Bankruptcy on Tape, where it was a books on tape of bankruptcy filings. This predictably didn't perform very well. These are kind of boring filings that nobody really wants to read, and they didn't perform particularly well, but they were unique. I didn't want to repeat content that other people were doing, so this was the first idea in terms of something that could be helpful to people without treading on anybody's toes. But yeah, they didn't perform particularly well. I think people that were interested in reading these filings would actually read them, and then people that weren't wouldn't really care to listen to them anyway. So I think there is a niche audience for it, but it's not a hit. It doesn't have broad appeal. The series that performed much better was the Hellsius Secrets series that brought to life internal chats between Hellsius employees. So this was everything from them covering up the ICO not selling out, to dumping sell on customers, to pumping sell to get bonuses. Everything that they didn't think we would see, they're talking about. And these were taken from photocopied exhibits that the examiner filed in her footnotes and then recreated in a real-looking Slack type of interface. So I had to build all that out, and it took a bunch of time. One of the Hellsius Secrets videos did go viral on Twitter, but it was ripped off by the Hellsius Network account here. So it got over 400,000 views on Twitter, but then didn't direct people to where to go to actually watch the content on YouTube. So there's below the fold here, he mentions my Twitter account, but there's no easy way to actually go to the source video. So poor form on Hellsius Network account here. This is operated by the person who operated the Financer account, who's now simping for Hex token. Seems like a pleasant person in terms of my interactions with him, but doesn't really behave honorably in terms of sharing credit for content. It's just really poor form when you get 400,000 views and the original video gets a little over 1,000. It's sort of a disparity there. You probably seems to indicate that credit was not really appropriately given. So a little bit disappointing because you want to actually reap the rewards for creating content. But the important thing is that people actually did watch it. So that part is good. In terms of future content, I do want to create more of the Hellsius Secrets videos in future. There's still some more to churn out based on the content I have access to. I'd like to also do a making of series to show how I was able to recreate the interface and bring it to life. Also, I'd like to do behind the scenes of the Knicks post-game report video where we show the Mashinskis at a Knicks playoff game. That was a fun one to make, and I think it'd be on the lighter side. The next video I planned is called Breaking News. It's going to focus on how news agencies have let Hellsius customers down in their coverage, at least in certain instances. In particular, there's a recent article by The Block which claimed to be an exclusive, having a board presentation from May 2nd of last year. But that's been publicly available for over 6 weeks, so a bit weird to call that an exclusive. It was very glowing about Mashinsky having this billion-dollar vision to save the company. In reality, he's just a fraud. He was grasping at straws. He had no real plan for the company, and he'd driven it into the ground through his terrible management. So completely inappropriate to be showing him in a positive light, given all we know about him and just how much of a con artist he is. For that particular presentation, one of his employees in the lead up to the presentation was remarking on how silly the vision slides were. This wasn't a practical vision of something he could have pulled off. Mashinsky failed in pretty much everything he did with Hellsius other than draw customers in to get wrecked. I'm also looking to do a viral campaign to draw attention outside the Hellsius victim community on how much lawyers and advisors charge in bankruptcy. We're on target to go north of $200 million by the end of this thing, And it is outrageous. Bankruptcy should not be this expensive, and the incentives are totally misaligned. It's to the professional's advantage to drag this out as long as possible. That's just not right. There should be flat fees for bankruptcy, which would encourage professionals to wrap this up as quickly as possible, which creditors certainly want. That would align the interests much better. For this fall, I'm looking to do an influencer winter series where we focus on how Hellsius was able to use influencers to draw customers into the company. They either engaged in partnerships with them, paying them money for appearances, or they allowed them to become referral mills. So for this series, I don't want it to be a witch hunt. I want to give everybody who's covered the chance to tell their story, to say how they feel about Hellsius, whether they have regrets or how they've been able to help victims. Did they lose money themselves? If not, if they made money, have they contributed anything towards the victim fund? My general stance is that nobody should have profited from Hellsius because Hellsius never made money. If you wound up in the green with Hellsius, those funds are effectively stolen from victims. So I'd encourage anybody with profits to find a way to donate those to victims. It'll probably be easier to do so after the plan is confirmed so we know how bad the losses are for everybody. That's pretty much it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.